Okay, where were we? Half hour ago or something. Alright, so about halfway through the tutorial. All we've done so far is managed to install stuff. I messed up some of the initial installation and setting up the GitHub project, just so stupid. It's alright. So, through what we were doing, we just managed to set up the header and the footer. I might change this just so we remain sort of congruent with the colours that are specified in this. Where is it set? Oh no, it's in the layout folder file. Components. Oh, layouts. All right. This will go background. Just go moderately light. I think it should work. Yep, there we go. Now we can see shit. Did we have anything to update? Oh gosh. The system. Alright. Okay, that's all up there, yeah. Alright, so yeah, we got the footer and header. Main page, we don't have an about or blog yet, so that's probably the next thing that they'll do.
Import the H1 from our components directory H1, and then we can get rid of the one that we manually did ourselves, and this should have all the styles and things that we want. So we now have the core kind of layout components. We have our root layout, we have our main component, and then we have our header and our footer. But these are now linked.
Hang on, what styling we got there on the header? Alright, so why isn't that doing that. Oh, that's X1. That should be XL. Right.
Linking to pages that don't yet exist. So we can now create a new page just by creating another component, Astro component, inside of our pages directory, about.astro. And then I can kind of copy over everything from the index page, and we can go and update this. So this title should be about Rhythm Nation blog.
This is
It's
pretty
awesome.
simple.
So from here, we can navigate to and from this pages directory. So we can go to the about page, see that change. We can go home, about, home.
You know what? I've already got an about page there, so I just called it Astro. So that's all I'm going to do. That'll just be in the header, I guess. Done. Yep, Astro. This brings us back to the original Astro page. Now it's a bit munted, but that's okay. Oh, gosh darn. Don't want to go there. Right. So, yeah.
Home, about, and then our blog page still doesn't exist, which we'll get to in a minute. All right, so that is working really well. Now I want to take a quick second to talk about one feature in Astro that is basically brand new, and it is the transitions API, or view transitions.
Right.
And this is the ability to kind of have JavaScript take over on the front end and add really beautiful transitions between one page and another. This is something that I kind of question how difficult this would be to implement in my application, but it's literally as simple as importing this component and then using that to display either inside of individual pages or a root layout, which is what I do here. So let's go into our layout component, and I'm going to see if I can get auto import in this. Yeah, so view transitions. I'm just going to add this component right inside of the head, and we can see this auto import came from Astro : transitions.
My water inputs weren't working before, so yeah, I think I've got a bit of work to do on how this works. So he's just put it up in the top of the head, put it just above title. Was it called something transitions?
We'll save this, and now look at what we
view
get.
transitions, right. You know, it's not telling me that there's something wrong there either. Oh, that's okay. Huh, I don't know where it come from.
From here, when we transition from home to about, you'll see that we get this like kind of fade in effect. Transitions.
From Astro transitions. Okay. I'll have to read the stuff. Is that it?
We'll save it.
Go back. Yep. Astro. That's a colon? Yep. Oops. Cannot find module Astro transitions. Alright.
And we can see this auto import came from Astro : transitions.
Well, we're in layout, aren't we? Yeah. Yeah.
We'll save this, and now look at this auto view transitions. I'm just going to add this component right inside of the head, and we can see this auto import came from Astro : transitions. We'll save this, and now look at what we get. From here, when we transition from home to about this, and now look at what we get.
Alright, so I'm going to go read that doc and see if there's something that looks like there's some other capital T. Right. It's no longer transphobic. Here we go. Error occurred. Unable to... Because it is undefined. Import view transitions. I'm concerned that it doesn't show me any of the other malarkey. View transitions, make sure I... Yeah, it's there. I'm missing something else. Ah. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, when it's not the first one in a thing, then it has to be defined. So there's probably within this Astro transitions thing, there's probably a whole bunch of right, here we go, cool. So now, if I do this, it should, yep, cool. I mean, it's not much, but whatever. I know if I tried to do that, like, from scratch, I'd probably spend a day and a half, and it'd still look shit, so, alright, happy days. Let's go.
Astro : transitions. We'll save this, and now look at what we get. From here, when we transition from home to about, you'll see that we get this like kind of fade in effect. That's really, really neat. Astro is now taking care of this for us by kind of rendering this and staying on the browser to be able to switch between different pages. This is built on top of core browser APIs. Astro just wraps this in a really neat way so that we can add view transitions to our applications and make them look really, really pretty with basically no work. All right, with all of that in place, let's start to work on this blog page. So to start, we can create a new page, and we can just kind of copy and paste one of these if we want and just call this blog. And we'll say this is the blog page, and then update this to just keep Rhythm Nation blog. And we can actually get rid of the p tags. We'll add content to this in a second. So now we should have blog, about, home, about, blog. So we have our blog page, and now we actually want to start working with blog content. Well, one of the interesting things that we haven't done yet is we can actually use Markdown directly inside of our pages directory. So if I say something like blog1.md and I say h1, this is a blog. What's really interesting, this is not the most practical thing, but this actually does work as a page. So if I go to blog1, this is actually going to render this page. But notice that I'm missing all the layout stuff that we've been building. So even though this is cool and you can add pages as Markdown, we're actually going to do this a much different way. And we're going to use something called content collections. So inside of Astro, you can search for content collections. And this is by far, I think, one of my favorite features. It's the ability to define types and organization for your content. So if we come down to defining collections,
Is this new?
you can set up TypeScript types for your collections, which tell it which types of data it should have in its front matter, and make sure that it abides by those rules. And then you get TypeScript IntelliSense for each of those blog posts as you interact with them in your application. So what we'll need to do is come back into our source. We'll create a new folder called content. And then inside of content, which is a special directory, this is one that Astro is already specifically looking for this name. We'll create our config.ts. Now I'm going to copy over this configuration and we'll talk through it. So inside of here, I'm not sure why this is showing up as not found. This is actually going to work, so you can probably...
All right, I'll just catch up. So, hang on. All right, let's collapse all. so what's he done? It's got another under source. It's got one called content. Yep, that's right. So new folder. Let's put that in. I am content with that. And then he's called it what? Config TypeScript. Now, oh god, eyes are blurry looking down at this tiny other screen. Yeah, I've got to maximize it. That's better. Shit. Alright. Give me 49 seconds of typing. Define collection. Z. I've not ever seen this stuff, so I guess it might be new. Content. Right, mine's getting the same error as that. Oh, unused. Alright, that's fine. Alright, define the collections. So, posts, collection. Does define collection. Now, how does this work? So, we've got a schema to do. Cool. Z.object. Oh, right. I wonder if Z is using Zod. So this is a object in the collection, and so this is the TypeScript schema, I guess. So you predefine it, so you can just pull it in a little later, I think is what I was saying. It looks similar to how you do it in but yeah, React and I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be trying to talk while I'm doing it. Image, title. Alright, let's block them off. Alright, so export these collections. So collections of posts, post collections. That makes sense, yeah. Alright, that's about it. Can't find module. Alright. Anyway, he's saying that he's having the same issue there.
Probably disregard that. But from our Astro content, we're going to import define collection and Z. Now Z is representing Zod, and Zod.
I was right. So Zod, Zod is a really good.
Zod is a way to basically define schemas for data and then leverage that inside of TypeScript. So there's a lot that you could read up to learn about Zod. In this case, what we're doing is defining individual properties for what's considered a post collection. And then we export all of our collections at the end of this. So you could have collections for blog posts or talks that you've given or authors, whatever you want, you can store in Markdown or MDX content. We'll get to that in a second. And you can define your schemas just like this. So we call the define collection function and we pass it a config object here.
It's got a little
bit
faster.
We set the schema to z.object and then we define each property that we're going to work with. So we have an author, a date, an image, and a title. And then we export this. Now, what's really important is whatever this key is that you export with, that should be the name of the folder, which we'll put inside of content, where all of your post markdown content should live. So those two things should match. And then when we query content in a minute, we'll also use the same key to query that content and get all of our records so that we can display them on our blog post. So what I'm going to do is copy in some dummy markdown posts on this GitHub repo that you'll have the link to. You can get these from source, content, and then post. So if you come and look at that page, you can download all of those markdown files and add them into your repo to follow along exactly like I'm doing. So inside of post, I will paste all those in. We actually have one in here that is MDX. I'll update that to MDX in a minute. I actually want to get rid of some of the stuff. I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get rid of that and just go back to regular markdown. So each of these blog posts has a few different extra things than actually what we're tracking, but that's okay because we do more with this data in the paid course at astrocourse.dev if you're interested. But you can see the core things of what we've been using. We have the author, we have the date, we have the image, and the title. Now notice that that data matches up exactly with what we define inside of our schema for our post collection. So content is a specific directory that Astro is looking for. The Astro config file is a config file that Astro is specifically looking for. And then this key should match up with the folder where all of that content is. So what we can do is come into our blog page and start to query all of that content that we just created with some built-in APIs in Astro. So we're going to need to import a function called getCollection.
All right. Let's just catch up. So content, posts. Now he's got examples. Maybe I'll just go and get one of them and then I'll modify them later. So where's his? He hasn't listed the repo. Where's his GitHub repo? Oops. So under source and content, and I'll just grab like 4 of his blog posts. So I don't have to modify them all. There's no point rewriting this. I know my markdown well enough. Why is it going so slow? Let's check my phone. It's on 4G. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Dunno. It's going really slow now. What the fuck? Come on, just want to steal a few files, man. I wonder if it's my VPN. Could be it. Yeah, it's fast enough. It's only what, 67 millisecond lag. No, that's alright. Stay there. How's this? What the fuck is going on here though? Oh, okay. Fine. Just hiccup. Alright, posts. Alright. Let's download that. So yeah, we'll grab 4 of them. I've got utterly thousands in my Dendron blog. Alright, cool, that's done. Alright, cool. I think we're caught up now. Just need some more Star Trek in the background. We've got a problem here. Oh, no, that's that one there. It's fine. So, now, something about is querying the post collections.
And this is going to come from, import this from Astro content. All right, and then inside of here, we're going to now query all of our posts by calling get collection. And then we want to give it the key of the data that we're looking for, which is our post collection. So this is going to query all of those posts, and we can try to log these out, but we'll see something a little interesting here that you may not expect. Also, we see this is logging out a promise. That's because this is asynchronous, so we need to await that response.
Alright, let's go back and...
Also, we see this is logging out a promise. That's because this is asynchronous, so we need to await that response. Alright,
what page is he on here? It's in... blog.astro. So... Oh, I've called it blog, haven't I? Let's just restart the server. Okay, we're just pulling the index page. Isn't that hot reloading? Actually, why does it say blog up there? Setting that's in header, isn't it? Yeah. Go home, ET. Right, cool. So now Astro has its own page back there. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, just make that so it's not confusing. What's it doing? Oh yeah, in here. So we've got the blog page, and now he was talking about what was it? So import get collection from Astro content. Right. Yep, cool. So now comments posts was wait. Actually, I just want to see the same error that he had come up. Get collection posts. Oops. So, in the console, log that. Right. So, yep. Like I said, promise pending, which means while it's up here, I'm just going to play with something before any of this happens. Posts. Right, so it is getting it in there. but it's a promise pending. I just want to see if it comes up with some sort of error or whatnot. Post dot. Okay, we don't have IntelliSense on this yet. So can you do like for each? No. No, it's been 6 months since I made anything really in this. All right. Let's just follow on. So we'll change that to await. All right. So here we go. Yep. So it's actually brought in the whole component there. Sweet. I wonder if I put that in there now, if it'll actually render. No, it'll be like what's it called? No. It's been too long. Alright, we'll figure it out. I wonder if we can actually. I just want to play with this, and because just copying is good enough for me to learn, but could be more to it. JSON dot. No, what does I want to do? Oh, stringify. Yeah. Ah, does this not have stringify? Hey, it does. There we go. Right, I'm not completely stupid. It's just my IntelliSense just doesn't work yet. Alright, I'll have to figure that out. Cool. Alright, I'm not completely mad. So, point being is we actually have the data here now. And it's in, yep, got it in a nice JSON object or whatever here. If we take the await away, what's going to happen there? Right, so it's nothing yet. Cool. Alright, I just like to see, because but obviously what's happening up here is first all this happens, and then it goes back and figures this shit out and says, okay, we've got to get the posts from there. Yep. Cool bananas. Alright. James, be quick.
Now what's interesting is if we come into the browser to our blog page and refresh, we don't see anything logged out here. And that's because all of this is happening on the server, and this is building a static page. So it's gonna, at build time, query all of this content, use it however we need to, and then have that source HTML just ready to be displayed. It's not making a query in the browser, it's happening on the server. And that's why we're seeing this inside of our server logs in here. So it's important to know where things are happening, server versus browser. Now from here, we're going to create a couple of additional components. We'll have a post list component, and inside of this, I'm going to copy over what we're doing here. So we're going to import a post component that we haven't created yet. But what we're going to do is pass into this a prop of posts. And then based on those collections that we defined in Astro, we can actually reference the type of that. That's going to match what is inside of our config here. So we say for a collection entry of type posts, we're going to actually have an array of those. So we have a reference to our posts, and then we use Tailwind and CSS Grid to display them by iterating through each one and then referencing a post component that we haven't created yet to actually display that post. So we'll go ahead and copy that in. So we'll have our post.astro. And there's a little bit more involved in here. So let's go through. We take a property as a post, and we accept our props that has a property of post. And again, it's of type collection entry of type post. We reference that, and then we just kind of spit out HTML. We have this image component that we'll come back to. We'll talk about that in a second. We have a link to that individual blog post by referencing the slug from the blog. We're able to reference the front matter from these blog posts. So front matter is the stuff that is listed up here. We can reference that based on post.data. So data.title, body, etc. So the body is going to be the actual markdown content that's in here. So in this case, we're actually using a Tailwind CSS class, line clamp 2. This will actually display only the first 2 lines of that body content to kind of give a preview of what's there. But this is all we need now to be able to display a list of our blogs on our site. So back inside of our blog page, we can now import our post list component and then pass in our post as this post variable.
All right. Should take about 5 minutes to do all that. So we'll just go back here and go bit by bit. But I pretty much got all that. That's all pretty straightforward, I think. Alright, so don't need to do that. We'll get rid of this stuff. Actually, let's we haven't saved for a while. What's that one? Oh, okay. When was that generated? Alright, so back in the back in here, what we want to do is, what's he talking about there?
So we need to await that response. Now what's interesting is if we come into the browser to our blog page and refresh, we don't see anything log page. So it's gonna, at build time, query all of this content, use it however we need to.
Why does this keep doing this? Sorry, you can't see it, but it's moving.
And then
it's moving the video every time I touch it. Alright. So we've got the posts. Oh, we don't. Yeah, no, it's fine.
And have that source HTML just ready to be displayed. It's not making a query in the browser. It's happening on the server. They're happening post list doing here. So we're going to import a post component that we haven't created yet.
Alright. There's a bunch of stuff that has to be done here. This is in the component, yeah? Is that post.list, yeah, in components? Oh, fuck, can't read that small.
But what we're going to do is pass into this a prop of post. Oh,
we don't have a post.astro file yet. Did I miss that one? Oh, maybe he's doing it preemptively, I think. Yeah. Type, so we need props. Now we need to modify those to be of type posts, which is a collection entry. Yep. Don't know why my IntelliSense sort of works sometimes. It's kind of annoying. Alright, done. So now the props, the posts, yeah, equals Astro.props. Yeah, that's right. That's why I fucked it up last time. So that is within an object. If it was just, if props equals post equals that, then you could just say it without that. Right, I remember that now. So I think that's the end of the front matter. So div and go, so well, I'm just going to copy his class stuff over for now. Grid cost to get it. Right, now, so this, I was hoping that it'd come in, it'd be able to figure this out, but I don't know, something's wrong with my setup. So for each post, we do a post. Is that, yep, we've got that. Oh no, we haven't imported it, built it yet. But the post equals post, that's not confusing at all, that's fine. Alright, I think that's about it. Yep, so now we have to build the something in my eye. Great.
And then based on those collections that we defined in Astro, we can actually reference the type of that. That's going to match what is inside of our config here. So we say for
I think that's wrong. that's not an object, that's an array. Right. Glad I picked that up.
collection entry of type posts, we're going to actually have an array of those.
Oh, there we go.
So we have
Just
a
say
reference
it's
to
an
our
array,
posts, and then we use Tailwind and CSS Grid to display them by iterating through each one and then referencing a post component that we haven't created yet to actually display that post. So we'll go ahead and copy that in. So we'll have our post.astro. And there's a little bit more involved in here, so let's go through.
Okay. This is where he's making post.astro. Is it? This is a component, yeah? Yeah. Alright. A bunch more typing, but that's fine. Just so get a feel for it. So import image from Astro assets. Yeah, cool, that's there. Import. Alright, I've never heard of this bit being done this way, but let's try it. Get entry by slug type, and it's a collection entry. Yep. From Astro content. So type of props equals this object, and each has a collection of posts, type posts, and we call them posts. Oh gosh, I don't like calling them that, because then you get them mixed up with, sometimes you put in a submit button. What type of submit button is a post submit? And then just so we want the, I've got a const of that, and it goes props, and that's the end of the front matter there. It's alright. So now we're article. Is this a been built-in one, or we have to make it later? No, that's right. It does. Yeah, it is a modern HTML thing. So now I need backtick, and under. I'm going to have to go through and change all these to blog, aren't I? Alright, so the post, and we'll have a slug on it. I hope I got that right. An image, and that will be the source equals, comes from the post as slug data. Yep, cool. We'll arbitrarily set the width. Yeah, well, he's put in 1024, that'll do. Oops. Do I have a 1.5? Okay. Okay, I'll go with that and figure it out what that means later.
we take a property as a post, and we accept our props that have, we just to that individual blog post by referencing the slug from the blog. We're able to reference the front matter from these blog posts. So front matter is the stuff that is listed up here. We can reference that based on post.data. So data.title, body, etc. So the body is going to be
post.data title. That'll keep our area happy. Class equals 2XL. So that's going to basically put a thumbnail for each of the blog posts that comes up in that collection, and looks like the title is being cut off as well. So alright, let's keep going. Alright, so this is making so you can click either the let's copy that. Fuck. Post slug. So Clark. So this is a text 4XL. Okay. Semi-bow kind of life, really bad. And H2, title. What else is he going on?
data.
Yeah.
So data.title, body, etc.
All right, we'll put the body into. So, is this all clickable or just the title? No, all right, just the title. It's fine. Wait, what the fuck happened there? Ah, whoops, didn't close that one. Alright, and then this the article. And put this line clamp one in there. I don't think I've ever used this before, but I understand, because there was a whole bunch of stuff like 2 or 3 years ago being able to just like show the first, X amount of lines or words, and then just puts ellipses around it or something. Oops. Alright, that's the end of the article, I think.
So the body is going to be the actual markdown content that's in here. So in this case, we're actually using a Tailwind CSS class, line clamp 2. This will actually display only the first 2 lines of that body content to kind of give a preview of what's there. But this is all we need now to be able to display a list of our blogs on our site. So back inside of our blog page, we can now import our post list component and then pass in our post.
Wait, where'd you get that? Okay. I'm sure when he was writing it before, it was different. So if I just change that to... I wasn't sure whether it sort of extended that or not. This is this self-referential? Import post from No, it's not. That's right. It's fine. I'm thinking of blog. All right. Post list from that. Yep, fine. That looks good. Yep. And then should just be able to do post list. Posts equals posts. Let's see how he's doing it here.
As this post variable.
Yep.
So we've queried all of these posts. We're passing it down to these components that are then responsible for rendering these. So let's come back over and see what this looks like. And we can see we have each of our posts displayed here. We can scroll.
Longhand fragment syntax. What? What the fuck does that mean? I've never heard of that before. Let's see if he's got different in his components. Looks the same as mine. Collection. Yeah, entry by slug. Astro content. Import image from assets. Category list from category lists. Hang on, have we not done that? No. Oh, no. We're not doing that. Type props equals. Yeah, post collection entry of posts. Can't post astro.props. That all looks right. Alright, so if I just look at what their thing is here, please change posts to use the longhand format. I don't know what that means. Is that right? I'm sure that's not right. Did we put? Did we just miss a complete I wonder if I got this wrong. Something looks fucky there. What's different about this page? Looks the same to me. This is post list. Yeah. Then post. Ooh, I didn't like that. Oh, well, I can't tell off the top of my head what was different about that, but it seems to work there now. Alright, let's go have a look at the Alright, it's looking pretty good. Yeah, I'm just looking at the things down here. I don't know if these are correct. Behind the scenes with our artists. Alright, I guess there's something else that we have to crash up yet.
We're going to use this for Tailwind, so we can run this command. It's browser. It's happening on the server, and that's why we're seeing this inside of our server. This is all we need now. Components that are using an image component that comes from Astro assets. And with this image component, we see a few different things. We can specify the width and the height, and then most importantly, we can specify the format. And this allows this image component to do some optimization for us to transform these images, but that won't quite work in a second, as we'll see. Now, one change I'm gonna make is change the width and height to be 600 and 600 divided by 1.5, because all of these cover images and the grid are gonna be a little bit smaller than full width, so they don't need.
All right, do that now. What page is this on? That's on the post page, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay, because it imported that when I got shitted off.
Need to be full width. So let's go and actually see what happens when we load this page. So as we load this, one thing we'll notice is we're only loading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 images. And as we scroll down, we see we're loading more images. So one of the things that is done for us is each of these images is lazy loaded. So this is added automatically using this component. But the other thing we'll notice is that these are not importing these images as WebPs. They're still using their original JPEG format, which is not what we want. And that's because in Astro 3.0, it's not able to do those transformations from images that come from our public directory. Now what we can do is move each of these images into our post directory. So just drag that folder and then move all of those images into our post directory.
Wait.
And then inside of our markdown files, we can reference our images from the current directory that we're in. So if we do a global search, let's make this a little bit bigger. If we do a global search for /images/, this should bring up each of these markdown files, and we can go in and replace this with ./images/. So what this is going to say is look inside of the current directory that we're in, which is inside of the content directory, and then inside of its images folder, and then you can find the appropriate image. Now, one of these will need to get updated in this layout, so we'll come back to that. Let's go and change all of these, and then come back to our layout file. Let's open up our layout file, and we can use this as the root URL. And it looks like these images still aren't found, so we're missing something. So this would have worked in previous version of Astro, but now we need to update our config for our schemas to be able to reference these images. So instead of schema being an object directly, we're going to have this be a function that then returns that object. And then inside of this function, we can destructure a property called image. And then instead of using a string property, we're going to use this as an image property specifically. And that way it'll be able to process our images and get the optimizations that we're looking for. So we can call this image function and then save, and then hopefully it will now be able to find those images. So if we scroll over to our application, we can see these are all loading. We still have them asynchronously loaded or lazy loaded, so we don't load them until they're necessary on our page. And then also we see our format is updated to WebP. These file sizes are much, much smaller than what they were previously. So now we're able to get lots of image optimization from using this image component with images that are embedded in our source code. Now the next thing that we want to do is actually create the dynamic pages for each one of these individual blog posts. So to do that, we can define a dynamic route in Astro by coming into not our content directory, but our pages, and we can create a folder called blog, and then we'll create a dynamic route by using bracket syntax and slug. So what slug is, it's a key for that property, right, yeah. Or that property of the path like of where we are.
I'll try to anticipate this one, because this is much the same thing that you have to do in what the fuck is going on here? Okay, this is something you have to do in Solid, probably React, I'm not sure. So pages, so you got blog, and where was I just want to see
through them, and then each one is going to link to a page that doesn't exist yet. We'll come back to that and generate each of those pages for each one of those blog posts in a second. Now, one of the things I do want to mention, though, is the Astro image component. Loading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we do a global as an image property specific. So to do that, we can define a dynamic route in Astro by coming into not our content directory, but our pages.
Right,
and we can create a folder called blog.
Let's get rid of all this shit for now. Clean. Actually, let's Alright, so under pages, what I want here is new file. So now what what I understand that these do is you can specify, like, let's say a dynamic route. So you can put through an ID or the name of a, I think in this case we were talking earlier about this content post stuff is set up specifically by Astro to automatically pick up what these are, so you don't have to go to URL blog /post /2 or 3 or 4. It'll actually populate this with the URL, so it'll look much more like a WordPress thing. I still like having a backup of an ID. I don't think there's any IDs and stuff here, just in case you change the name of the URL. That can be a real fuckhead of a thing when, just say, yeah, you've done a mass update of something and changed the the spelling of a word or something like that. You had it incorrect across 10 different blog posts. You go and update it, and now they're all 404s, and you have to manually create 301 redirects, and it's just like, So that's where I prefer. Oh fuck! I missed the chase. So that's where I prefer the WordPress scenario. Anyway, let's just go with this. See what else he's got to say at this stage, because I think I know where we're going from here.
And then we'll create a dynamic route by using bracket syntax and slug. So what slug is, it's a key for that property, or that property of the path of...
Oh, hang on. That was under... When did we make that? So under pages, he's got one called blog, and then he's got okay. I'm not sure if that makes sense to me. So the way that you do it in the way that you do it in solid JS is that if you do this, if you have a thing here, that automatically becomes a dynamic route. So it'll be straight under blog, and then whatever in here is index will be the new blog index file. So at the moment, I think these are going to compete. Maybe he might get to the point where he modifies it. So I don't know. So if I go home, I just want to test this before I get too smart for my own boots. So if I go index.astro, is this going to fuck this up? No? Alright, so if I just completely obliterate that file, this should get okay. Well, it works both ways. So for context there, what it does on the dynamic routing here is it first looks for a file named that, and if that doesn't exist, then it will go down to the into here and look for an index file. So that's exactly what's happened. And yeah, I like that approach better. One of the downsides to that though is, just say you've got like, it's not going to be a big issue on this one because there's only going to be maybe half a dozen of these folders eventually, I'm pretty sure. But one of the issues that you can have is later on, if you've got 50 of these motherfuckers, and then you're searching for blog.astro to find that original where it is, it's not going to exist. It's going to be called index.astro. Actually, that's the point. What if I just change it to blog.astro? If this works, that'll be cool. No. I guess I haven't thought that far ahead yet. So you definitely need either that or an index. Right. Where's the rest of it? Yeah. You're seeing this page because page's blog Astro is missing. I'll just leave that there as a placeholder just in case things go fucky later on. Excuse me. Alright. So for now though, I'm going to put all these back in here. And that should be fine. Alright, so we've got our blog page. Yep, this is still working. Cool. Alright. Now, so the next part of this will be... Alright, I don't know how this is set up yet. I'm imagining going to need front matter here, which pulls in the ID of the post that you're sending through, or the URL of it at least, and then it figures shit out from there. Alright, let's see how James does it, and we'll follow suit mostly.
Of where we are for each individual blog post. So based on that slug, we will query the actual blog post from Astro and then use that to display that specific blog post. So let's open up our JavaScript snippet in here. And one of the things that we'll need to do is export a function, get static paths. That's going to be an asynchronous function. And in here, what we want to do is define what each one of these paths are and what sort of content is going to go with that path. So we'll start by querying all of our posts. So we'll do await, and then we'll use our get collection function. And we'll need to import this above. So we'll import get collection from Astro content. And we're going to get all of the blog post content.
Yeah, so
now from there, we need to actually generate the
That's
paths
fine.
that this function is going to use to be able to display our content. So we'll create this from our post, and we'll map through each individual post. And then for
All right, so yeah, that'll make sense. So this get static paths one. I'm not sure if this is new entirely, but it's not something I've ever used in Astro. And I've done some file stuff and getting stuff directly from markdown files and whatnot. I've got a whole website that made based on that a year or so ago. It was quite spiffy. So I'm going to export the posts and so await the collection of posts. I don't know what happened on that last one when I was looking for the that fragment bollocks. Alright, so const now the paths this is one I haven't encountered before. Equals posts dot map. So posts. So it'll be post dot. Oh, I don't know. I'll have to check out what he's doing.
For each post, we want to return an object. So we'll return an object in here that has basically two different properties. A params property, and this is going to reference the slug, and it's going to come from the slug of the individual post. It should be singular. So post here. So post.slug. And then we'll also have a props field, which is going to define what we're passing into.
Yeah, wait. He missed something there. I thought I had that right. Yeah. So post map each post, return the parameters, get the slob. Alright, yeah, cool. And they get the props, the polyps. Oh my god, I'm getting tired. So then the properties will be the title and the image and that stuff.
That individual page. And what we want to pass is the individual prop. So we're going to match based on the slug here, and then we're going to pass in the property of the individual blog post.
Cool.
So that we can display this on the page. So we can define our props in here. So our props will have one property, and it's of type collection entry of type post.
Oh.
And then we'll need to import our collection entry as well.
Wait.
So this is going to come from the Astro.
I'm not ready. So yeah, import. Oh, okay. Getting it straight from in there. Cool. That's what it is. Yep, cool. Did I do the props correct?
Content. So we'll import collection entry. And now we are saying that's the one property that's going to get.
Right, so that's just bringing in the all the posts, and that'll have all the inferred data and shit for them. That's type posts. I think that's about it.
Get passed into this individual page, and then we can destructure the post from there. So from astro.props. And then we're going to need a base layout in this. So I'm just going to copy from our pages directory. I'm going to copy this part here. So we'll have kind of our base layout.
Okay. So this title will be John text wasn't that also here? Oh, I might have this wrong. I might have to pull in the. Oh no, that looks right. Yeah, title, and then let's just figure out if this is what's going to happen here. And I'll just put in post dot text. Okay. We can put the image up as well. I just want to see if that's going to work. Not found. Jumping ahead.
And then we can get our imports. So those should all...
Oh, I didn't do the import. No. No, yeah. Fuck. I'll just copy it. Where is it? No. Bring all those across.
Get imported if I do this correctly. And then for this H1, I want this to be the title of the blog post that we're working with. So we can reference the post.data.title.
Ah, alright. I missed the that's ah, hang on. Where's the word blog? Nope. Why is it going to blog? Here we go. Then I'll see why I do that. I think it was, I can't remember where I got it. Might have been XKCD. Alright, it's still working. Yep. Might just restart the server again. Uh-oh, could not import file. Layouts, layout.astro, okay. Where are we? There was a really neat thing in I hope Astro's got it as well, but another one was in Solid.js is where it just automatically picks up these imports. And just as long as you're careful with your naming structure and whatever, you don't have to bother about all this. You just got it by doing this, I think. No. Because when my IntelliSense isn't working. Right, so we're in here, layouts, layout.astro, so copy relative path. I think that'll work. Stuff me. Yeah, I hate keeping track of this. When you refactor stuff, which you inevitably do, you have to go back and do all this. That was one of the magics of playing with Solid.js. It just worked. Invalid get static paths expected in an array got undefined. Where's that? Async blah const post is because wait collect get collection of posts. Why? Doesn't it automatically know where that is? Should this have a... No. async. No. Alright, let's just see what he's up to in case I've done something else wrong as well, but that looks right to me.
Alright, so we'll reference the title of this. Then we also want to add a reference to the image as well. So we'll import that image component from assets. We'll set the source of this
No, I'll fuck around with that later.
to post.data.image. We'll set the alt to reference the title, so height, and then we'll have as two. So if we now just save this and make sure our application is running, let's go back and see if this page exists. So we can try to refresh on this page, and it looks like we might have not returned.
He's got the exact same error that I did. That's encouraging.
inside of our get static paths. So I think the last thing we need to do is make sure that as we define these paths, we then return them. So we can return these paths.
Yes. Alright, I was just going too fast and I didn't sort of notice what I was doing. So const paths equals, hang on, it does return. Oh, no, that's right. So when it gets there, paths equals that, and then you got to return paths, I guess. Is that right? Nope. Oh no, sorry, we're outside of the... Expected blog to be a string where... what the fuck is this? Okay, let's see if he trips up on the same thing or if I've just done something else monumentally.
That way Astro knows what each individual URL is and to pass those props into the page. And then here is our individual blog post. So we have the title, then we have the image, and now we need to actually display that content. Now Astro actually gives us a way.
All right, I'm gonna wait for the content stuff later. I gotta finish whatever the hell's going on here. So expected plug to be a string. Why? Yep, string. Yep. What page? That's on the header. That's fine. So it's definitely somewhere in here. Oh, okay. I reckon it's this. What have I done wrong here? Oh, I'm just going to go through. There's only 8 of them there, so I'm just going to go through and modify them all. See which one is tripping it up. What? Where else is it coming from? Hang on. Did I name the file incorrectly? Right. Okay, it is something to do with the name of the thing. Did he just like name it something completely different, and I just didn't even notice? I think I was going on about my rant. No, he's called a slug. Right. Ah. Yep. Okay. It's referring to this. I get it. Got it. That makes more sense, to be honest. I don't know how I missed that. There we go. Haha. Alright, cool. Let's go. So he's now about to talk about how to get the content in there. Which I've probably
way to render this content from the actual blog post. So from the blog post, we can render a component. So this component is going to be the content component, and this is going to come from awaiting post.render. So this is basically going to give us all of the HTML for the content of our post.
Was it turns
so we
the
can then
markdown into
render
HTML
this
though?
content component inside of here, and this will give us everything, but it won't look that great. So notice this doesn't style the headers, it doesn't do anything, and this is something that we can fix with Tailwind, which is pretty nice. So we can add a Tailwind typography package and just wrap this and have it take care of all the styling for us. So we'll need to install this package, so npm install, and then we'll have...
I've done tons and tons of typography before. It's kind of nuts. Anyway, so what can we do here? Let's just close all them. So we're on here, we've got the main, we've got the post data text. So now that was different now, isn't it? So actually I forget what he did.
And have it take care. So notice the intent for the content of our render. So this is basically get.
Right, so once we get the post, a little nervous using all these just sort of awaits and whatever in here without specifying async and stuff. I'm just like used to it, but I guess if it works, it works. Till it doesn't, and then it's like, oh fuck. So now we can actually use it like a like that, I guess. There we go. Cool bananas, that works. So now he's going to talk about putting in the typography stuff. Yeah, I've got a massive thing that I've already done with that. So I can easily pull this in typography. We're here. No, I've got it already in. So I've got the standard HTML stuff. I've already specified. I've spent probably 200 hours going through every one of these, and this is how I like my typography to look. Anyway, got it for that, and I've got it for Tailwind components as well. So each of these these are standard Tailwind components, like, so you can just go in here and copy paste from the from there. That's all good. So I'm going to definitely do this, and I've also got Markdown. Oh fuck. Oh yep. No, that's on my to-do list, so I guess we're going to do that now. Alright, let's do it. So hopefully it's got a really simple typography install. I mean, it's not hard, I'm pretty sure. I've done it 20 times before.
Going to give us all of the HTML for the content of our post. So we can then render that great. So notice this... So we can add a Tailwind typography package and just wrap this and have it take care of all the styling for us. So we'll need to install this package, so npm install, and then we'll have Tailwind CSS/typography. And then we'll need to reference this inside of our...
Yep, this looks pretty much the same as I've done before.
Tailwind config. So under plugins, we're going to require.
So yep, Tailwind config done, and then we put in plugins. So we require tailwind. Well, it's not there. Oh, sorry. I'm letting tell me.
The Tailwind CSS typography plugin.
Okay. I could just look at my old ones, but no, we're here. Oh, there it is. Yep. Don't know why my IntelliSense sometimes works. That's kind of annoying. So,
plugin. And then lastly, we need to wrap our content in a way that's actually going to display it using those classes from Tailwind. So I'm going to copy in a div and we'll wrap this with content. And basically what is happening is
so in here, so wrap there. Before he goes any further, let's just see how we're doing. Cool. That fucking works. Beautiful. Alright, I can go back to my old site and just do that. Excellent. Alright. I reckon that's pretty much 90% of what we need to know to just go forth.
is we're wrapping this in a div that uses this pros class. Now Tailwind with that class is going to apply all the different styles and things for us. So from here we can npm run dev. We should now be able to refresh this and notice this actually looks like a good looking blog post, which is pretty nice. So we're able to display a list of all of our blog posts here. Here they are. Then we can click on individual one and we have a route created for each one of these pages that are all created statically, so they're going to be super fast, and they have the content which is displayed really nicely using that typography plugin with Tailwind. All right, let's talk about a few more features that we can add. Inside of the Astro docs, we can work with Markdown, or not Markdown, we can work with MDX in addition to Markdown. So MDX allows us to add JavaScript components right inside of our Markdown files, which is really nice if you want to add like a call out to something in there. So let's see what an example of this is. We can run this npx astro add MDX command. Say yes to everything. This is going to allow us to support Markdown or MDX and Markdown at the same time for all of our content. So all that is done, it added the integration into our config file. Now let's go into one of our Markdown posts inside of content and post, and let's choose the first one, and let's just rename this to MDX. So notice we have a different logo up here. All the content stayed exactly the same. So this will work as is. Nothing's going to change just yet. So let's go and look at this and go back to our page and notice this all looks the exact same. So where does this help us? Well, if we were to define a callout component that we want to reference inside of here, we could actually reference this inside of an MDX file. So let's create a new component and we'll call this callout.astro. And I'm going to just copy over this component. So we have two props, a link and a piece of text. We have some styles and then we display that link. Pretty straightforward. And then inside of this MDX file, we can actually import this component. So right up here, we can import callout from, and then we'll go back to directory, into components, into callout.astro, and then now we can use that thing wherever we want. So we can display this right in here. So we'll have callout, we'll have text, learn astro 3.0, we'll have a link, and I can link to my course. So astrocourse.dev, and then we'll close out this callout. So now, if we type these paths correctly and do this should load correctly, nice. And we should be able to see this callout now right inside of our Markdown or now MDX file. So this is a really neat way for you to go in and dynamically leverage whatever sort of components you have right inside of your Markdown files, and you can mix and match Markdown and MDX and then reference these individual components. And hey, this will take you to the Astro course landing page where you can learn the full in-depth version of what we're doing in this crash course. All right, so that was a ton of what we just did. I want to do a quick wrap up and then show you some additional things that you can do that we haven't even touched on inside of here. So we worked with a root layout component. We added transitions in between our different pages. We added Markdown and MDX content. We have individual dynamically generated pages for each one of our blog posts that actually get hosted as a static page when you run a build. Let's actually just see that really quickly. So let's do an npm run build. And then inside of this dist directory, what we'll see is under blog, we have all of our pages created. So each individual index HTML has been created for each individual page, which is super sweet. And so we've done a ton in here. There's also a lot more that you could do. So we mentioned that you could do, for example, Svelte components. If we look inside of here, there's a plugin for working with Svelte. That means you can do an Astro add Svelte, create a Svelte component directly. If you want to see a separate video of that, comment below with Svelte yes below, and maybe I'll make a separate video on that. But you can use Svelte and React and view components right inside of your Astro application, which is really phenomenal, super, super cool.
Cool.
Now, another thing that we didn't even get into is SSR. So all of the things that we've done have been statically generated pages. You also have the complete ability to create server-side rendered pages as well as API endpoints. And this is exactly what we cover in the in-depth course at astrocourse.dev. So if you want to know how to do everything on the server, API endpoints, handling form submissions, generating content using SSR, we can do all that. You will do all that in that course at astrocourse.dev. And then another really neat thing is Astro supports doing pagination, which I talked about earlier. So if you want to learn how to do pagination on your blog post or whatever data you have, you can do that with Astro, no doubt. And again, I'll just shout out future. Let me know in the comments below. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.
That was good.
As well. So I hope you can tell I'm...
Taught me a few new things. Sweet. Alright. Not sure how much I'll utilize of this new stuff, but it's good to know it's there. Anyway, for the sake of, I don't know, 2.5 hours, it was pretty good to be able to go from absolute zero to setting up a reasonable blog, whatnot. Thanks, dude. Bye-bye.